Hey, and welcome to Girl Be Free, a podcast designed to help women get unstuck and cultivate the life you want on your terms. I'm Siobhan, your host, and I'm passionate about empowering women to live their best life. Each week, you'll hear pep talks that will inspire and push you to take action so you too can start to be free and live the life you want. You can learn more about me at BeFreeProject.com. Now let's jump into the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. This week's episode is going to be pretty fun, but first, let me share what I am loving this week. So last week, I asked my newsletter subscribers to share one of their favorite books that they recommend that others read. And so I'm going to share with you what a few of the ladies who emailed me last week had to say in some of their favorite books. So Dana said that her favorite self-help book is 5-Second Rule by Mel Gibbons and No Excuses by Brian Tracy. Shauna said she's reading Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, which I absolutely love that book. And then Iris and Jennifer said that they are reading You Are a Badass at Making Money, which I love that book too. So if you listened to last week's episode, I shared the 4 self-help books, and You Are a Badass was one of the books that I recommend that everyone read. Well, I think this spring or summer, Jen Sincero, the author of You Are a Badass, came out with You Are a Badass at Making Money. And I love the book. I mean, it's just such a wealth of knowledge, so much good information. And it really helped me to see some of the limited beliefs that I have about money. And I'm going to do a whole podcast episode on what I have learned, how I'm working through my money blocks. And I'm going to do that in a future episode. So make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. And also thank you to everyone who sent me an email saying that they love the podcast. They're really enjoying it. That warms my heart so much. So thank you so much for taking the time to even reach out to me. And if you don't want to miss a podcast episode, definitely make sure that you subscribe. Please share it with your friends, because I think the more the merrier, that can hear what I'm sharing could be helpful to someone else. And then also you can subscribe to my newsletter by clicking the link in the show notes. All right, so let's jump in today's topic, which is called My Favorite Things of 2017. So we all know every year Oprah shares her favorite things and what she really loves, and then everyone goes out and buys these things or whatever, or they're like must-haves. Well, I thought it would be fun to share some of my favorite things of 2017. First off, none of this is sponsored. None of that at all. I'm just sharing the things that I've really enjoyed. Some of them are tangible, some are not, but I think it'll be fun to share with you. And it helps you get to know me a little bit as a person. So number one, and these are in no particular order, but one of my favorite things is to get my eyebrows threaded. I've been getting my eyebrows threaded for at least 3 or 4 years now, I feel like. And I would not have them done any other way. I've done waxing before, and I feel like getting them threaded, I just get a nice cleaner look, and it goes by like really fast, and they last longer. So that's one of my favorite things. Every time I get my eyebrows threaded, I feel like I get a facelift or something. So I am totally into threading, and I am committed to going all the time just to make sure that my eyebrows are on point, because they are very thick. Next up, my favorite thing is girlfriend time. I absolutely love hanging out with my besties. My friends that are really close to me, like sisters, we've been friends for over 23 years. So every time that we get together, there's always laughter, there's always good food, there's always really good conversation, and we're always there to motivate and inspire one another. And it's just a beautiful thing to have these strong relationships with these women who are more like sisters to me. And so they are definitely part of my favorite things for this year. Next is Trader Joe's, which actually is my favorite grocery store, but they have these peppermint JoJo's, and they're like Oreos, but like peppermint cream in the middle. When I tell you, these cookies are absolutely amazing. I ate way too many. They are addictive, and they are seasonal. So every single year, I definitely buy at least one box or two. because these are my favorite cookies and they're so good. So if you have not tried them, you should totally try Trader Joe's Peppermint JoJo's. Again, they're like Oreo cookies, but with peppermint cream in the middle. And seriously, I've already eaten way too many that I'm not going to say how many out loud, but they are addictive. But every season, I really enjoy them. So I always make sure I get a box. Next is my favorite thing is a social media detox. So I'm not sure if you pay attention or not, and I guess this is becoming more of a tradition, but last year I did the same thing where I was off social media for the month of December and a little bit of January. And it felt so good to take a break. And last year, I got so much clarity about my business and just had more time to just be that I decided to do it again this year. So I started on December 1st, and I'm not getting back on social until January. And that means no social at all. So no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter. And I'm just not on it. I deleted the apps from my phone. And all that jazz. And I did it this time around because I wanted to just really reflect over 2017 because I've experienced like so many amazing things and I wanted to process it all and then take time to map out and plan 2018. And I just wanted to be away. Like I think it's really good sometimes to just unplug and just be. And I realized, and this is probably an episode that I can do as well, but social media is so addictive. And it was hard in the beginning, but now it's becoming one of my favorite things. And this is like I said, my second year with taking a whole month off just so I can just unplug and just be. So I'm enjoying it. Now I'm getting more into a routine where it's like, okay, it's fine to not be on. And I'm doing other things too. And I'm getting work done, y'all, because I'm not always on social media and feel the pressure of sharing. So that's something that I am really enjoying right now. Also, my favorite things is a notebook and pen. So I've been journaling. I think I shared this before since I was 14 years old. And every single time I leave the house, I always have a notebook and pen because I feel like I always got these ideas running through my head, or there's always something that I want to get out on paper. And so I never leave home without a book, a pen, and a notebook. So this way I can capture these thoughts down on paper um, and I'm not forgetting everything because I'm like, as I get older, I can't remember nothing. So a notebook and pen is so needed for my life and it's my favorite thing. And I love to go to like Marshall's or like TJ Maxx and find really pretty notebooks. And then during back to school season, I like to get a stack of the spiral notebooks because they're like 10 cents, like after like back to school season or whatever. And I get like the 10 cents notebooks and I just get a whole lot of them or whatever. And I use those and I just go throughout those throughout the whole year. So that's my favorite thing is a notebook and pen. And then I'm going to share, let's see, my favorite app. So my favorite app is Insight Timer, which is a meditation app. I started practicing meditation a few years ago. Sometimes I'm more consistent than others, but one of the things, because I gave up social media for the month of December, I decided to make sure that I was practicing meditating every single day. And so Insight Timer is the app that I use. There's two things. So there's guided meditation. So you can just look for the one that kind of fits you or whatever. And then you can also do a silent meditation. And so they have so many, like thousands and thousands of guided meditation. And depending on like the time frame, so if you want to do it for 5 minutes or 10 or 15 or hours, you can do that. And you can find meditation specifically for that time frame. So Insight Timer is one of my favorite apps and I use it every single day. Another, let's see, favorite thing is my favorite album of this year was SZA. That album got played so much. You know what? Two albums this year that I played more than any other album. SZA's album and then Jay-Z 444. And I remember I think when 444 first came out, I would listen to 444 and then I would listen to SZA and then go back to 444 and back to SZA. And they have been like on constant repeat. So now I don't listen to them as often, but those were my favorite albums of this year. My favorite TV show was Insecure. love, oh my gosh, I love Insecure so much, and I cannot wait to the next season. But that was my favorite TV show. My favorite trip, and I've been a lot of places this year, but my favorite trip this year was to New Orleans. I went on a self-care retreat that my friend Tara gives every year. And New Orleans is just one of my favorite places to go. And I should actually do my own like meetup or event or something there because I absolutely love New Orleans. And I had so much fun while I was there. I was there for 5 days, I believe, and I loved every single moment of it. So that was my favorite trip. Affirmations. So I love, love, love affirmations. And of course, you know that I'm always sharing them either on the podcast, in my newsletters, on social media. I'm always sharing affirmations and I recite them every day, all day. I'm always reciting an affirmation. And I'm actually excited that I'll be able to share something really soon because I'm creating my own affirmation cards, but that's to come. But yes, affirmations are my favorite things because I always need to feed myself positive messages. And, it's so much negativity in the world and so much noise. I have to be my own, I guess, cheerleader and root myself on. So I have affirmations. I have an app for affirmations. I have a journal notebook that I write down some of my favorite affirmations and I recite those daily. I also set up affirmations in my phone to go off every so many hours just to get those reminders. But I absolutely love affirmations, and that's one of my favorite things. A few more things here. My favorite book this year, my favorite fiction book, I will say, is Homegoing by Ya Gasassi. And I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, but Homegoing by Ya Gaassi. And I can't tell about it because I'm not good at that. Because when I start talking about a book, I tend to tell like everything, especially when it comes to a fiction book. But trust me, it is a book that I believe everyone should read. But it's about these two sisters. I will say this: two sisters that are born in Africa and then they get split apart and then you have to read the rest. But it's an absolutely amazing book that I could not put down that I highly recommend. And then my favorite self-help book of 2017 was You Are a Badass and Making Money by Jen Sincero that I mentioned a little bit earlier. And then and then the last thing I want to share with you, my favorite restaurant. So I actually had to text my friend because I love trying new restaurants and I love new restaurants. And I went vegan this year for 6 months. And so I was trying a lot of different restaurants. Well, not a lot, but enough. And trying like vegan meals and things like that. And so one restaurant that I absolutely loved here in Cleveland was called the Cleveland Vegan, which is on the west side of Cleveland. And I went there, I think 2 or 3 times and loved my food. I'm telling you, whoever was in the kitchen was, I don't know, they were good with the seasonings because it was very flavorful. Everything that I had, I never had a bad experience. And that was my favorite restaurant to go to this year was the Cleveland Vegan. So those are some of my favorite things. I'm sure I can list off more, but otherwise I will be on this podcast like all day. And I will say this, my favorite podcast this year was The Friend Zone, which I absolutely love. Oh, there's so many podcasts. This is going to be hard to do. But The Friend Zone is one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to every single week. Alex Ale launched her podcast this year called Hey Girl, so I love that one. And then Behind the Brilliance by Lisa Nicole Bell. Those are some of my favorite podcasts. So I hope this episode was fun. I'm going to share this in my weekly newsletter as well. So definitely make sure that you subscribe. And then I would love to hear what are your favorite things. So my email will be listed in the show notes. Feel free to let me know if some of the favorite things that I shared are yours as well, or share what you loved. So that's this week's journal prompt, is to make a list of all the things that you really enjoyed this year, whether that was people you spent time with, trips that you went on, food, whatever. Like, what were your favorite things this year? Make a list of it. And I know sometimes it can be hard because you forget about all of the experiences that you have in a year, but take about 10 to 15 minutes and just jot down your favorite album, your favorite book, your favorite travel experience, what have you. Like, make a list of all your favorite things and make sure you're doing more of these things in the future because that gets you to your happy place. So, as always, thank you so much for listening. Please, please, please share this podcast. And someone thanked me last week for even saying to share it, because um, that reminder helped her to tell share the podcast with her friends. So definitely share the podcast, subscribe, rate and review. And then thank you so much for listening. And until next time, girl, be free. Thank you so much for listening. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling really fancy, go ahead and leave a review. Until next time, be free and live.